Black Scully on check. Got a little black and white hoodie on check. Welcome to another marvelous episode. On today's docket, we got a lot to talk about today. I told you guys the rest of this week was super preview heavy. Been seeing a huge uptick in viewership, getting a lot more views, especially with the uploads. You guys are really loving the uploads. I know YouTube is trying to do a little bit more with getting more people to the live streams. They've listened to the people who stream, and a lot of people know that like there's something wrong with YouTube. Live streaming, it's not like when you're live streaming on like Twitter where it feels like it's uncapped, or even Twitch when I used to stream NCAA 14, the revamp version. It just didn't feel like it was capped the way that YouTube is capped, but YouTube is working on it. So hopefully we start seeing an uptick, at least on the live streaming anyway. Got a lot to talk about today. I told you guys we're going to be super preview heavy because of everything that's been going on with these previews and how well they've been doing on the platform, and more importantly, the viewers, the fans, like, yo, you should have way more subscribers. I love the way you broke down this game. It's dope to see stuff like that, and it just lets you know that you're headed in the right direction. So we're going to talk about this UCLA and Indiana game. This game is in Pasadena. I don't know. I think this game has upset written on it, not in the way that you guys think. I don't think UCLA is going to win the game, but they're playing really good. I think they'll be a tough out. I still think that Indiana is one of the best teams in college football, and I'll get to my prediction a little bit later, but I just wanted to briefly talk about it. We got USF and Memphis preview as well, and I think the key to that game is if whether or not Brendan Lewis is playing. He went out early in that UAB game, and I think that was something that a lot of people actually missed, the fact that Brendan Lewis actually was injured that game. He started off red hot, if I'm not mistaken, like completed 9 or 10 passes before he was injured. He plays that game and win that game, but football is a sport with 100% injury, and that's why, coaches speak that next man up mentality. Big Ten country, and I'm trying to set it up like this for the remainder of the week. One game from each conference, and then one group of 5 game. Illinois versus Washington. I think this is a really interesting team with kind of two programs where we've seen Jekyll and Hyde acts from time to time. We've seen it with Illinois. They just didn't show up versus Ohio State, but who has showed up versus Ohio State this year, in all fairness. Also, Washington, we've seen times where they've looked really good, and also seen times like last week, and they didn't show up versus Michigan, and Michigan didn't look good the week before versus versus USC. So got a lot to talk about with that game. SMU versus Wake Forest. I think these are two programs. I think SMU is really figuring it out. They're trying to get back in the thick of things in the ACC. And then when you think about where Wake Forest is, their head coach Dickert, like, if you're juiceless, you're useless. That's one of the overarching themes that left with me after ACC media days, how each and every player that we talked to mentioned that phrase, if you're juiceless, you're useless. And he'll have them screaming at the top of the morning, 6 a.m., and, that's the type of personality that I think that they've brought to this game. They absolutely should have beat Georgia Tech. They've been the closest team to beat Georgia Tech this season, and I like a lot of what I see out of Wake Forest. And DeMond Claiborne, we'll be talking about him a lot, but he's a stud, man. He's averaging like 8-point-something yards per carry. He's my CTV. And then also, we'll talk about this Bama versus South Carolina game. And to preface it, I truly believe that this is a must-win game for South Carolina. Furthermore, this is a must-win game for Shane Beamer. I just saw yesterday that the students of the great University of South Carolina and Columbia, the University of South Carolina, that is, are doing a protest for firing Mike Shula, offensive coordinator. I think sometimes coaches, we trust the process so much that the writing's on the wall. You have way too much talent offensively to not be producing more. And I understand you're in the SEC, and I understand the gauntlet of the SEC, but at the end of the day, you guys need to produce more offensively. And sometimes that loyalty can end up getting you canned. This is a must-win game for SC, so they need to put their best foot forward in order to win that game. And Bama is red hot, and not too many teams look better than Bama this year. Also, we're going to get into the news segment, latest stories in the world of college football. Governor College Football, hashtag GoCFB. CFB Nation, your only college football destination. Let's get it. Governor of college football, we're going to recap ACC.
Hey, that's
Two great
CJ on
defensive
the
minds.
track.
They have to be better on that side of the ball. All right, let's go ahead and get into the news segment. So Steve Spurrier, we try to talk about him as much as possible. I have a great respect and admiration for the old ball coach because of the schemes that he ran in the 90s. I think they were very forward. We seen what they were able to do in Gainesville with Danny Wolf. We even had some success in Columbia. We seen the funny gun offense when he was here in the DMV, running that funny gun offense in the nation cap with the Washington Redskins. Whoa, sneeze was a little rough on me. And he kind of shared his opinion on Billy Napier. Now, if you've been following this all along, I kind of got an idea the way the way Steve Spurrier felt about Billy Napier. I think that he always felt like this guy had the potential to be a really good coach down there. But I think that Steve Spurrier believed that he wasn't more of a disciplinarian that he needed to be. And he used the word tidy up a few times in his description of Billy Napier and how he felt about Billy Napier. So, of course, Billy Napier was fired recently. I believe he will have a job, whether it's at the G5 ranks, because he can recruit really well, or at the Power 4 ranks, because, I mean, even if we look at it, it seemed like Virginia Tech will benefit over having somebody like Billy Napier there. His ability to recruit, they're willing to spend money. He can get the players that they need to compete in the ACC. Because it's really about, how much money are you willing to give to these players. We look at what Texas Tech is doing this year. Yes, they're just coming off of a loss, but they're competing at a really high level because they were willing to spend money. Year before that, last year, Ohio State won the national championship. Well, they spent more money in the portal than anybody spent in the portal. So it takes money for success in this year of college football. It just is what it is. Like, yes, recruiting out of high school is still very important. Being able to be that transformational coach and develop your players is definitely important, but at the end of the day, if you want to really have that talent that you need on your roster, you need to be able to go get these kids and do like a Lane Kiffin was able to do to get somebody like Trinidad Chambliss or like the season before when he was able to get like a Walter Nolan or Princely Human Nealon. You got to be able to spend money in this year of college football. So Steve Spurrier's response to him being fired was, it's sad, but not a shock. Saying coaches are only as good as their record, and some people may deem that as harsh. I deem it as pure honesty. Like, it is what it is. Like, you look at Florida, and they kind of always fire people during their fourth season. We've seen that. It's kind of a trend that they do, and it's like midway through the season during that fourth season. But Billy Napier just didn't win enough. We saw promise in the offseason. We saw the ability to construct rosters really well. I think that was Billy Napier's, strong suit. But to hold people accountable and be that disciplinarian like Jeff Brom is at Louisville. And I used that example yesterday. That game against LSU with DJ Lagway threw 5 interceptions. Like, where was it like, yo, what the F are you doing, bruh? Like, you trying to throw the game away? Like, what did you see? Like, what was that? Like, we need that type of accountability. I don't care you want to walk to the bench or your learning style or your disciplinarian style may not be front and brash. You prefer to do it, behind public's eye. I don't care. I'm out here to win games, because if we don't win games, the first person that they going to say, hey, you got to go is me. My job is on the line. This is the ultimate result-driven business. We are paid for our results. So how the hell do you think I'm going to accept you going out here and throwing 5 interceptions? And some of them were terrible interceptions. So some of this is on Billy Napier. I thought there were times that you see him really coach people up well. I remember Anthony Richardson was having a really tough game versus Kentucky. And we saw, like, Billy Napier go over, speak to him. He's like, yo, you're good. You're a really good quarterback. There'll be better days. I'm not sure what he said, but it looked like he was just coaching him up. There was times he really needed to get on. Like, DJ Lagway just out there throwing interceptions. That's not acceptable. And there needed to be some accountability for that, and we did not see that. So Steve Spurrier's direct quote, sad but not a shock. It's who Steve Spurrier is. He's not going to be himself. Even if he respects you or have admiration for you, he's never going to not give you the honesty. And that's why I always loved about Steve Spurrier, and that's why we always talk about him in the show. So I have a retraction to make yesterday. I did not know Vanderbilt didn't storm the field the other day. I guess they pulled the Arkansas move, waited for 3 minutes, then stormed the field. I thought that was one of the things like, oh, no, we graduated. We expected to beat them. It is what it is. But I heard Now, in retrospect, because, after the game's over, I'm going to wait a few seconds, and if you don't storm the field, I'm turning. I'm going to another game. I'm the governor of college football. There's a lot to talk about. And we try to watch as much of all of college football as possible because it's such a beautiful sport. I can't sit here and have at my lower thirds, do you watch college football or do you just skim through it? Like, that's kind of what our thing is here, being a 1%er. Do you watch college football or do you just skim through it? Or you're just watching SEC and Big Ten games? There's quality games every week. At the Group of 5 level, which will be Group of 6 next week, I think the game of this week is still USF versus Memphis. And it's going to be all, contingent upon if Brendan Lewis is playing or not. But even still, going in Memphis and getting a win, do you understand how difficult that is? I don't care how red hot USF is. So the game of the week this week and the game that I am most excited to see is that USF and Memphis game, just like it was USF in North Texas a few weeks ago. And I was really surprised by that outcome, but it was a closer game than that score indicated. I can tell you that. So Vanderbilt avoid SEC fine with a smart field rush. Now, that's cool. But sometimes a guy like me who watches as much college football as possible, I'll miss that because I'm not going to wait and see if y'all rush the field. You saw UVA, they didn't give a damn about fines. We got money in Charlottesville. We good. We will pay it for you. We do not care. It was like, it wasn't even a half a tenth a second. It was like the moment that the ref went like this for the incomplete signal, I don't even think they waited for that. It was boom on the field. And I love to see it. So I didn't even know Vandy stormed the field because I had no idea. I don't know what's going on here. I had no idea because they waited the 3 minutes and did it the smart way. So they avoided the SEC fine. That's cool. But I would think they have money in Nashville. Like, budding area for college football. We look at what they're doing. We look at what Clark Lee is doing. They need to really show that man the money because I'm not sure they'll be able to retain him with all of the openings that they're having, to be completely transparent. But I had no clue that they stormed the field. I just thought they had graduated to we expected to win. We're not storming. So they did storm. I just turned the game. Lane Kiffin is a master of minds, and I know they lost this weekend. And, we don't celebrate moral victories on this show because we believe that college football is the greatest sport because of that the ideology of pursuit of perfection in college football, that there's really so little room for error as in comparison to other sports. You look at the NBA, they play 82 games. We've seen teams with losing record make the NBA playoffs. In baseball, not one team won 100 games this year. You play 162 of them, and not saying that that's an easy feat. It's just in college football, mediocrity does not work here. And being good enough also doesn't work here. And being above average does not work here. That pursuit of perfection is real. We saw some really good teams in the Ole Miss that got left out of the college football playoff last year. Alabama got left out of the college football playoff last year. South Carolina got left out of the college football playoff last year. The U got left out of the college football playoff last year. And that was a team that started off red hot. In college football, that does not work. One of the brilliant minds of college football is Lane Kiffin. His arc has been so crazy this year. His lineage, the growth that we see in Lane Kiffin. And I think there was probably some people who couldn't stand him after the stint in Tennessee and then, him working back up the ranks when he was at FAU and then finally working himself to Oxford. He's going to get offered, I think, both the Penn State job and the Gainesville job when it's all said and done. I think he really will. But he had something interesting to say about Oklahoma. He said, and he was talking about Brent Venables' defense, and they've been playing lights out this year, and we will be covering this game at some point this week. He said they do a great job of studying signals. So good. So good it looks like they have the plays. And that is hilarious to me. That is very... I think college football is still antiquated in some facets. Yes, they have the green dot now, but it's not like the NFL. NFL, you don't see a bunch of goofiness going on the sideline and people holding up a black joint here just so you can identify it and a bunch of signs here. You don't see that goofiness in the NFL. It's just kind of like they call a play, but you don't see turbo offenses. You'll see no huddle, but you'll still get the plays, and then a quarterback, whatever his vernacular or verbiage is. And I think part of the reason for that we still got the antiquated things with college football is because of the crowd volume. You just don't have to deal with that in the NFL. It's levels to how loud some of these stadiums are. So a lot of times you have to be signal oriented, and that's why a lot of times you see a lot of players. This is the snap. We all remember Jackson Dart's conversation with Gruden. He was like, no, but seriously, go over your cadence. He said, what I'm saying? That was the cadence. So I think Lane Kiffin just taking some jabs at Oklahoma, but I think it's also, I always try to find the truth hidden in jokes. And there's a lot of truth in here. He does believe that Oklahoma is still in signs. But the truth in that is, hey, maybe we need to change some signals, or maybe we need to lessen the signals. But that will really hurt them because they go turbo, and they go turbo a lot. There's no huddle and there's turbo. We seem to put up points in bunches versus a really good Glenn Schumann coach's defense, and it was just surprising to me. And ultimately, they didn't win the game. But right there, sometimes you should try to find the truth in a joke. And there's a lot of truth in there. Oklahoma defense is damn good. Do they steal signals? Probably. Is Lane Kiffin going to try to find a way to filter that? He will. But I think the biggest way he'll try to filter that is by them going really fast. And they're going to go super fast, to be honest with you. All righty, Mike Elko. I think we saw two ways that you handle coaches being asked about another job opening. You see, Mike Elko's way of handling it was business as usual. It was, I'm not here for that. I don't care about what's going on at another, I'm here for Texas A&M. It's about winning here. We don't continue to be and keep the record that we have if I'm focused on another job. And he called it a waste of brain space. He's not worried about it. And then you see another way to handle it. So the way you should handle it is the way Mike Elko handled it. I'm not here for that. Next question. It's a waste of brain space. And then you saw the way that Matt Rule handled it. And he talked about, meeting his wife in Happy Valley and how such a great place it is. And then they just got dog walked by Minnesota. There's a way you handle it and there's a way you don't handle it. And I get it. He wanted to show admiration and respect and kind of put out there that, hey, I would be interested in that job. And he would probably do a really good job there because he's doing an outstanding job in Nebraska, even though they got dog walked. But sometimes when you ask the question like that, you can just keep it simple. Next question. You guys know how I feel about that place. Next question. It could have been as simple as that, but you kind of going and reminiscing and kind of letting everybody know that, hey, I'm interested. Hey, I'm interested in the job. I don't know. There's a way you handle it, the way Mike Elko handled it. There's a way you shouldn't handle it, and the way that Matt Rule handled it. And I'm just being honest here. South Carolina students playing a Fire Mike Shula protest. This is really interesting. And I guess with technology now, everybody's form of communication is via the internet, whether it's Instagram or Facebook or Twitter or whatever social media platform you use. Back in the day, like when you plan a protest, it's supposed to be kept under wraps. Like people wasn't supposed to know about it. You was just supposed to do it. Now it's like, oh nah, we putting it out there. This is what we doing. This is how we gonna do it. And I don't know. Like I think this is alarming. I think it also says a lot about where the program is and how frustrated this fan base is. This is a fan base that supports. This is a fan base that travels really well. I told you guys about my experience down when we went to the Aflac Kickoff Challenge between Virginia Tech and South Carolina. And let me tell you, them South Carolina fans were lit. They were lit. So, yes, these fan base want more offensively because if you look at the players that they have offensively, you say, hey, in another scheme, these players are really successful. We got one of the best quarterbacks in the country who's kind of an afterthought at the moment because we can't produce offensively. They don't care that you play elite defenses in the SEC. At the end of the day, they want results, and this is a results-driven business. It is a what have you done for me lately? What you did last year does not matter because you were a game outside of college football playoff. You weren't there. I keep telling you guys, what have you done for me lately? That's what this sport is. It's 100% what have you done for me lately? And if you are not yielding results, your seat can get hot. I don't care who you are. Billy Napier was a talk of the town at the end of the year last year because how they pulled it together and they was able to beat some really good teams at the end of the year. At the end of the year, that's when I say, why would he stay there? It's like, well, because the resources are plentiful. Yeah, that's true, but if somebody try and snake me the first time, you think I'm going to get them a second opportunity to snake me? That's just not how it works. Not for me anyway. So, yeah. But, at the end of the day, all coaches believe that they can win. They believe that they can win with the pieces that they got. So I get it. Shane Beamer, you might do need to make a move. Seeing that team, I saw y'all struggle against Virginia Tech. And I've seen other teams like Old Dominion put up points and bunches against Virginia Tech. If it wasn't for a couple of heroic plays by Lenore Sellers and a huge punt return, you guys struggled in that game. So, yes, and I think once you start to look at that, and I continue to say on this show, the schemes matter. Yes, the Jimmys and Joes matter, but sometimes a scheme can get the best out of Jimmys and Joes. And that's just me speaking transparently. So that's it for our Into the News segment. We're going to get into our game previews, and this Indiana UCLA game, I think it's going to have a lot of fireworks. So let's talk about it. Alrighty. We got Indiana, UCLA, and Pasadena. Super excited for this game. And this game is a 12 p.m. kickoff, one of them big noon kickoffs on Fox, of course. So this will only be the second ever meeting between these two programs. Definitely no lost blood here. When you think about what happened in 2024, well, Hoosiers put hands and feet on this program last year, 42-13. Granted, some of these players were not there, like Nico Iamaleava was in Knoxville during this moment, but Indiana is red hot. Curt Cignetti has got to play an outstanding ball. And even though I had close proximity with JMU, I went to a lot of games there. Curt Cignetti just haven't changed. He's always been highly confident, always believed in how successful he will be. I just didn't know he would get instant success. I don't think we can properly quantize his success appropriately. He went to a program that was struggling, right? Went to a program that was struggling, had a little bit of success when Michael Penix Jr. was there, but you look at, they were struggling, and I don't think people realize that in your first 2 years, the portal is your way to build your team, and it's pretty much the only way to build your team. Of course, you're going to get players, out of high school, and you'll be able to recruit. Like last year, the success that they had making it to the playoffs, that's a great recruiting hack there. You win games, you can get recruits to come there. Hey, I maybe wasn't looking at Bloomington, Indiana first, but now I'm looking at Bloomington as a place that I can have success and that can yield me to the next level, right? We saw what Curtis worked, Group of Five was at Ohio, seeing him come over there and have an immense amount of success, and now he's in the NFL. I think that is outstanding. But your first couple years, and I talked with a few coaches about this, me and Zach Kittley had this conversation. He was like, it was crazy, because he was talking about Caden Veldkamp and how much of a help that he's been able to help people with the installs, and he was having individual meetings with his wide receivers and his backs and teaching them the system. He said he did that while he was hitting a recruiting trail, because you instantly got to get active in the portal in order to compete in your inaugural year. So the fact that they were able to compete, and of course you got somebody like Elijah Sherrod who played with him at JMU, who followed him there, but in order to compete in that inaugural year, and I will say that the first 2 years you needed to be able to get active in the portal. After the second year, the third year is where you should start yielding results from people that you've developed. That's when we start to see the transformational coaching. But in the very beginning, it's transactional. Hit the portal, see what we can get, install our system, see how well we can play this year. But I believe that Curt Cignetti is truly an anomaly or an outlier, whatever vernacular verbiage you would like to use, because he was able to have transactional and transformational coaching not only in his first year, but also in his second year. We're seeing it as well. So that means whatever that they're doing in Bloomington is working. And the fact that he doesn't even have his players, the players that he recruited solely yet, that's where it gets dangerous. He's hit jackpot on the portal twice at the quarterback position. I think he and Jeff Brom have taken very similar approach to their job. Hey, we're going to find outstanding kids. We'll get them to play here. Maybe they didn't have the right opportunity or weren't in the right system. We'll teach them our system, whatever we got to do in the portal. We'll still recruit. So if you look at what Louisville has been able to do, and they haven't even had quite the success that Curt Cignetti has had, but he's had some success. We saw they were in the ACC championship his first year there. They just upset Miami this weekend. I think they've taken very similar approaches. Hey, we're going to have to be transactional because we don't have our players yet. But through being transactional, we'll find ways to, find out who these players are and find out how we can develop them and turn that transformation on. So I think that's outstanding. So this is only their second ever meeting, and 7-0, that which is crazy. 7-0 right now, and they're just playing outstanding ball, bro. In the top 5 in the country, the AP poll. UCLA is sitting at 3-4. So we got one of those weird games. This is a really weird game. Both teams, one is trending in the right direction after reaching coaching changes, and one has just haven't dropped off at all from when they were at last year. And I think a lot of people expected, including myself, expected a sophomore slump from Indiana. Well, here we are, they're 7-0, and they will probably be in the college football playoff this year. I know a lot of people probably didn't have that on their college football 2025 bingo card. I certainly didn't, but it just shows that coaching matters at this level. It really does. So let's talk about the head coach. You guys know how we like to do our previews. We like to start with the away team. And let's talk about Indiana. Curt Cignetti, they're 7-0. Cignetti Hoosiers they really are a model of balance, discipline, ruthless efficiency. You can't just say they're efficient. They are ruthlessly efficient. It's hard to have your team perform as well as Curt Cignetti team performs on the road. Like, I seen this team where I remember Jason Miura, the attorney general here, was trying to fight for JMU to be able to play in their conference championship that year back in 2023, where they was just putting hands and feet on everybody that was on their schedule until App State upset them. And that was at Bridgeforth Stadium in Huntington, VA as well. And it was frustrating to see, but to see what Curt Cignetti did there and to see what he does here, and it's like Indiana gets it. As a program, they get it. And the reason that I say that they get it because they understood the assignment. They said, all righty, this guy can really coach. Like, we knew we hit a home run, but we didn't know this home run was a grand slam. And it was a walk-off grand slam at that. Like, we had no clue. So, yeah, let's go ahead and give him more money because we know teams going to be coming after him. And now we look at the coaches' carousel that's upcoming this year. This is going to be the greatest. I'm looking more forward to the offseason for the coaches carousel because this is about to be crazy with the amount of seats that need to be filled and the amount of coaches that are able to fill them. I think it's going to be outstanding, just speaking honestly. But they said, nah, let's go ahead and double up. Let's make him one of the highest paid coaches in college football, especially when Penn State got open. And we know that the resources in Penn State and Happy Valley are more plentiful than the resources in Bloomington. We know that 100%. But Indiana was extremely smart. They said, nah, let's double up. Let's get more money so this guy don't leave. And you just see him at the podium, right? He has this look, and you just know it, bro. Like, I don't know. I just study body language, and he has this look like, I told you what I was going to do. Like, he ain't say it, right? But he said it with his body. Like, somebody sitting at a table like this, yeah, I knew we would be here. He knew it. The rest of us didn't know it, but he knew he would be here, right? So, I love what they're doing. Tim Skipper has done an outstanding job. And I don't know why we continue to have this conversation about Jerry Neuheisel and Tim Skipper, but it's getting really frustrating. But they've won 3 straight games since he's took over as interim coach. I'm not sure what UCLA plans to do as far as coaching next year, but I believe Jerry Neuheisel and Tim Skipper has done enough to be able to hold on to this thing for next year. But what are you willing to invest in your program? How much money are you willing to put up? Virginia Tech got it. That's why they got Bruce Arians involved to help them with their coaching search, and they're willing to put out more money. Because they know to compete in the ACC and to do what they want to do and to get more recruits that want to come and play at Virginia Tech, you got to spend money. That's the way it works. UCLA need to do the same thing because I had more problems with the administration and the athletic department than I did with Deshaun Foster and Tino Sinceri. I had more problems with the admin and how they were handling things more than I had issues with the way that the coaches were handling things. But we see that coaching matters, scheme matters, and they've been able to do their thing. So let's talk about Indiana first. Offensive coordinator is Mike Shanahan. He's done an outstanding job this year. It's a spread attack. It's simple. It's focused on tempo, spacing, high efficiency quarterback reads. And that's why Fernando Mendoza is playing outstanding this year. They keep it super simple. Some of the best teams in college football. If we look at it, we say, oh, wow, this look is very exotic. It's simple. It's simple. We're going to take what the defense give you, and even those times y'all don't want to give us this and you're trying to play that, we're going to show you that we're better, and we're going to execute better than you guys are going to execute. And Fernando Mendoza is playing out of his mind. He's really talked himself into the discussion of being the first quarterback selected in the 2026 NFL draft, and I think that's amazing. We look at what they're able to do. And Elijah Sarite is a real deal on the outside, but I knew he was a real deal a few years ago in 2023 when I used to go to those JMU games. I knew he was a real deal then. Indiana averages 497 yards per game. That's 7th nationally. 43.9 points per game. This is 4th nationally. We saw them having the ability to do this last year. Guess what? They're doing it again this year. And guess what? It's even more difficult to do it after tape is out on you. Because last year you didn't really know what to expect from Indiana. Hey, we heard this guy's a really good coach, but what do we expect from him? So now you're starting to watch, okay, what Shanahan did before he was there, what Cignetti did at JMU, what worked, what didn't work, how the team's able to defend it. Now the tape is out there and you're executing even better. That's when you start to separate who's who and who's not at the coaching ranks. That's 100% how you separate it. Quarterback Fernando Mendoza, he's playing high a Heisman-level football, 100% completing 73.5% of his passes, 1,700 yards on the year, 21 touchdowns, and guess what? He's protecting the ball. Only 2 interceptions on the season. They are doing their best impression of what I always say on this show. Make sure your possession ends in a kick, whether that's point after touchdown, a field goal, or punt. Football is a simple sport. If you can win the war of attrition on the line of scrimmage, and if you can end every possession in a kick, you don't want a lot of punts, especially in college football when teams can score points and bunches, but you're still playing the field possession game at that point, like even if you're punting the ball. So that's the beauty of it. So love what Indiana has at running backs. I love the kid Roman Hemby that they got from Maryland. Been following him from years. And then Kalen Black is playing outstanding as well. 439 yards, 3 tutties on the season. And then I've already told you guys about Elijah Sarratt, but Omar Cooper Jr. is playing really well as well. So he got, 7 touchdowns, 605 yards. This offense is, I don't know. It's just difficult to stop. They scored 35 points plus in 6 of 7 of his games. And they're leading the Big Ten in red zone efficiency. This is amazing. This is outstanding. So we talked about the offense a little bit. Let's talk about the defense. They're led by defense coordinator Brian Haynes. This is Indiana defense. It's a multiple front. This guy's with pressures and aggressive zone principles. So you'll see a lot of mug fronts with them. You will see some simulated pressures with them. But they like to play a bend, don't break defense, right? They're going to be aggressive. A lot of times when people hear that, they think a team is not going to be aggressive. They're still going to be aggressive, but they're still disciplined. They're not trying to give up a lot of big plays. That's just where they at. Even if you have some success 20-20, they're going to buckle down and make sure those drives are ending in more field goals than 6 points. And that's the amazing thing about this defense. So they're 7th nationally in total defense, 7th against the run, 4th in scoring defense. They're only allowing 11 points per game. And they play the success rate game. They definitely play the success rate game. They're suffocating on third downs. What's that, 25.3% conversion rate allowed on third downs. Turnovers, they're +7. And TOs, they're playing sound football. I love what the linebacker Jones brings to this team, 4.5 sacks. And then we got Moore, who's out there, got 49 tackles. As a defensive back, which is pretty impressive. When you look at this team, you just look at how sound they play, both offensively, both defensively, and they have a disciplinarian at head coach. Me, right? If I'm an athletic director, would I rather have a disciplinarian or would I rather have a player's coach? Well, it depends, because some people will probably prefer the player's coach. Give me the disciplinarian 10 times out of 10 and twice on Saturdays, because I know at the end of the day, mental mistakes should be minimalized because of that disciplinarian factor. And that's what we're looking at. So let's talk a little bit about UCLA. Really impressive these last few games. And, we talk about Jerry Newhouse a lot here. It's a pro-style based motion, option routes, and quarterback mobility. But it's also rooted in simplicity. Where we had Tino Sinceri coming from Indiana, where you do get some exotic looks where they are trying to force the defense to pick either you want to defend this run or defend this pass. Newhouse has just been able to simplify it and call plays that make their quarterback, Nico Iamaleava, comfortable. That's what we have in UCLA this year. Receiver, Kawazi Gilmer, 369 yards, 2 touchdowns. Level Mikey Matthews is doing as well. And then Anthony Frias, who just had a 97-yard performance a week ago. I like this offense. This offense is trending in the right direction. Just a few weeks ago, I think in total yards, they was like 110th. They're now 89th. So some people may not see that as progression, but I think that is incremental progression. I think you see that what they're doing is working. With this new coach and Tim Skipper is doing, what offensive coordinator Jerry Newhouse is doing, it is working. And they're 104th in scoring. Everything is going in the right direction for this team. Defense coordinator Kevin Coyle, simplified 4-2-5 defense, and the simplification is what you're going to get from UCLA because they want to have the ability to play aggressive. And let's play aggressive. We're not going to be doing a lot of thinking. Let's react and play aggressive. And I like what they're doing. They're 25th nationally in pass defense. That's what simplifying things get you sometimes in college football, especially when you have a lot of no-huddle offenses. And then turbo offenses is really difficult to defend. We see what Ole Miss has been doing in Oxford, just being able to have that turbo-style offense. So once you keep things simple, people know what they're doing, know what their responsibility is. They have that ability to play aggressive. That's what you're seeing out of this defense with Kevin Cole. Coyle. So I'm liking it a lot. I love what they're doing. And it's going to be really a matchup of this Indiana's offense, Mike Shanahan versus Kevin Coyle. How simplified can they be? When will Indiana decide to go no huddle? When will they decide to slow it down? Who can play this possession game? That's what I'm thinking about. When I'm thinking about this game, who can play this possession game? I can't say 2-1. If UCLA is going to have a chance to win this game, I mean, they need to possess the ball like 66% of the time. Not quite 2-1, but hey, give me a good old 34 to 20, 26, like one of those. We plus 8 minutes on time of possession. That's their only shot that they have to win this game, in my opinion, to be completely honest with you. So let's get some of the advanced metrics of this game. We talked about Indiana being plus 7 turnover margin. That's 10th nationally. UCLA is -1 in a turnover margin. That's 80th nationally. They're trending in the right direction. That number was awful a few weeks ago, and that's why I continue to say, hey, they're trending in the right direction. Let's get Indiana. They average 43.9 points per game. That's 4th in the country. Defense only allowing 11 points per game. That's 4th in the country. UCLA is scoring 22.4 points per game. Trending in the right direction, still 104th in the country. And then they were allowing 27 points per game, 93rd. But like I continue to say, they are trending in the right direction. Indiana's defense is outstanding. We talked about the 25% third down rate. That's crazy. That's 5th in the country. UCLA offense only converts at a 40% click. That's 70th. So you have strength versus a weakness there. So UCLA needs to play the success rate game. If it's 37 or more, they're punting every time. They're punting every time. They have to have convertible third downs. I'm talking about even if it's 3rd and 4, call a run and go for it on 4th. Like, that's where I'm at with this game. They have to possess the ball. Indiana possesses the ball really well at 33 minutes a clip. What did I just say? I said 34 minutes is what UCLA needs to do. UCLA possesses the ball 30 minutes a clip. That's 62nd in the country, and I said Indiana is 6th. So those are some of the advanced metrics I'm looking at in this game. There's a lot of strengths for Indiana. The ability for their defense to get off the field on third downs. Their defense don't allow a lot of points. Even at times where they've been, they will never break. I can promise you they will never break, and they will give up 3s more than they give up 7. So UCLA is going to have to seize the moment and possess the ball. That's the key to the game for me. So if this is a game out Pasadena where Indiana has the ball 34 minutes, Indiana by 21. It's just going to be like one of those type of games they're able to possess the ball. Now, if UCLA is able to possess the ball, they have a chance. They truly do have a chance. And while UCLA is very hot, I know I went against them last week. I hate going against them this week. It's just Indiana is that good. And I do think we get another upset this week. It could probably be in this game. I just don't see it. Because Indiana has outscored opponents 98-35 in second quarters this season. That is a crazy stat. That is an outstanding stat. So UCLA is very hot. Can they win this game? Absolutely. They'll just have to be physical at the point of attack, with attrition on the line of scrimmage, and possess the damn ball. But for me, it's Cignetti. It's what he brings to the table. UCLA has been a fun story. I do think UCLA will have the opportunity to compete for bowl eligibility this year. They're 3-4. They only got 2 more than they can lose. And I haven't really seen their schedule down the stretch, but this one is just a tough one. Give me Indiana in this game. I do think both teams compete. I don't think it's a blowout. Only way it's a blowout is if UCLA is turning the ball over and they just don't possess the ball, like we see in Missouri against Alabama, where Alabama time of possession was 2-1. So give me Indiana in this game, but I love the direction that UCLA is heading in, but I got to take Indiana to win this game. So let's move on to the next game we have, and this is this South Florida and Memphis game, and I think this is game of the week. No lie, I truly do think that this is game of the week. So let's get to it. We got USF versus Memphis, and I know that Memphis lost to UAB. It was a heartbreaking game. Lost their quarterback, Brendan Lewis, and he's still supposed to be able to handle business versus UAB. I know UAB has a new coach. Trent Dilfer was fired a week ago, and we look at it here. We have a matchup that we felt like we was going to hold College Game Day accountable and say, you guys have to go to Memphis. I've been to Memphis one time. This when I was doing music, and we was on a black college tour. This was many years ago, and we were down in Memphis, and I tell you, that environment is unparalleled. Like the food there, this is before I was even vegan. The food there was immaculate. Barbecue was A1, And I know Memphis is unchy now, and this probably was unchy then. I just guess because we was on the university side, we was cool. But that atmosphere is just unparalleled. People were so hospitable. Like I said, I don't know what it's like now. I know crime is heavy in Memphis there. But when Moon had a conversation with Coach Ryan Silverfield at American Media Days, one thing he told Moon is, hey, we win at home. We handle business at home. He was like, I think we were third in the last 10 years with most home wins. They have one of the longest active streaks in home wins at the moment as well. This is one of these games that I just don't know who's going to win. So let's talk about the history of these two teams. The Tigers do lead the series 9-4, which is surprising, including 4 straight wins dating back to 2019. I thought that was interesting when I was doing some of my research to see what this history looked like. Not an extensive history. I think this would be the 14th time that they played in this matchup. Not bad at all. But South Florida is trending. South Florida is scary. You saw what they did to FAU a week ago. And I respect FAU. Zach Kittley is my guy, dude. And I hated to see that because I was like, yo, I think Florida Atlantic is figuring it out. But South Florida, that train don't stop, bro. And then they went to North Texas, and it was BTA. Like I said, the game was closer than many people thought. I watched the game. I saw that the muff punt, that was the biggest play of the game. And North Texas just couldn't rebound from there. But you look at what Alex Golesh has done this year. It's been outstanding. I don't think he'll be at the group of 6 ranks. I mean, it'll be group of 6 next year. And I try to get used to saying group of 6. I still say group of 5 a lot. He won't be at that ranks next year. Alex Golesh won't be there. And guess who else I don't think will be there either? Ryan Silverfield might not be there either. But the only thing is there's a lot of competition with the recent coaches fired. It's like some of these coaches may fill up some of these jobs. Both of these guys have done an outstanding job. Both of these gentlemen have done an outstanding job. So Golesh offense was explosive. And I remember when I first became familiarized with Alex Golesh, and that was the year that we started CFB Nation. Shout out to the gang. Shout out to the squad. Hope everybody's doing well. And that was the year we started CFB Nation back in 2022 is when it started. But I think it really formulated down at Senior Bowl 2023. I think that's when we became who we were. Because when it started, it was just a flagship show. It was just me. And this is something I was created when I was with a prior company. And I could tell things weren't going in the right direction with that company. I said, hey, I need something for myself. This is something for myself. And it blossomed from a show to a platform. So we don't even have a show called CFB Nation anymore. So that's why I have the governor of college football. So Alex Golesh, I first became familiarized with him in 2022 with the Tennessee Volunteers, where Hendon Hooker and Jalen Hyatt could not be stopped. They just could not be stopped. And it was the little things that Alex Golesh would do. I remember this one play. I forgot who it was. It might have been Tillman and Hyatt. I believe Hyatt was on the outside. Tillman was on the inside because they was about to run a post-will concept. They moved Hyatt to the inside. I believe this is versus Kentucky. Tillman to the outside so Tillman can run the post and Hyatt can run the wheel, and it was a touchdown. It's just the little things. It's the devil in the details that separates elite coaches from coaches that are just good enough. Like, it's those devil in the details. And I'm telling you, Alex Golesh understands the devil in the details. But the tempo that they run with this Vera shoot offense, the R-Bow system, as I like to call it, it's versatility, and it's controlled, but it is chaotic. 100% chaotic. And they're averaging over 476 yards per game, 41 points per game. And those numbers and metrics are both top 15 nationally. This team can score points in bunches. Let's talk about Ryan Silverfield. He's such a great coach, man, and an outstanding conversationalist. We had a lot of interviews this past. I can't wait till next year media days. I know I'm trying to rush the season, but this past media days, there was just some outstanding conversations. The conversation I had with Zach Kittley, he and I talked for a while. The conversation that Moon had with Justin Wilcox. The conversation that Jalen had with Devin Brown. But Moon and Ryan Silverfield's conversation was magnetic for me because it went outside of the realm of football. We got to learn who Ryan Silverfield is, like the music. Like, he could be at a country concert, and then the next minute he's at a Biggie concert. That's just who he was. That's just how he grew up. So music is something that I love immensely. I love music. I told you guys a little bit earlier I used to do music. And college football is something that I love immensely. So hearing those two things, I wasn't even a part of the conversation, and I was just, kind of producing it in the background, like letting Moon know when to speed up, because I'll be talking to the SID, like, how much time we got, we good? And then I'll just like motion like this when it was time to speed it up. But it was such a great conversation. Please go check that out. It's on at the CFB Nation YouTube, so just at the CFB Nation. And it was during a live stream. I wish I had the frames ready for you guys, but it was such an outstanding conversation between CFB Moon and Ryan Silverfield. That talks about everything, but we got a great kind of gist of who he is, man. Such a well-rounded individual. But they averaged 38.1 points per game. Hate that they lost to UAB this weekend. It's really frustrating. They do hold opponents to slightly under 19, probably higher than that should be, but I like what Memphis brings to the table. And don't think because they lost to UAB that they cannot win this conference. If you watch the game, you understand that if Brendan Lewis plays that game, they win that game. But sometimes miracles happen, and coaches matter, and schemes matter, as I always say on here. So, let's talk about Florida, South Florida. Alex Golesh is the offensive coordinator. They do have a listed offensive coordinator. I believe his name is Joel Gordon. But this is Alex Golesh's system. We know it's the veer and shoot. It's a tempo spread with quarterback-centric RPO design. That is the great way to design, to kind of illustrate or describe what type of offense that they run, right? Everything starts and ends with Byron Brown. This unit is so much different with him being in there. He missed a lot of last season, but this kid just puts it all on the line every game. There's a couple plays he makes every game. I think there's a category for quarterbacks that are just really tough. I believe it starts and ends with Byron Brown and Diego Pavia. They put it all on the line every weekend. And it's just, if I'm a player for that team, I'm going to go want to win for that guy. I'm 100% going to want to win for that guy. And he's accounted for so much yardage. I think it's 2170 total yardage, 22 touchdowns. He's leading both USF in passing and rushing. Got 1,695 yards, 16 passing touchdowns, 6 touchdown rushing, 475 yards on the ground. Keep in mind, in college football, your sacks count against your rushing yardage. That's what's been impressive about Byron Brown. Chaz Nimrod, he's a big play threat. 466 yards on the season, 3 touchdowns, and Davenport is pretty good running in between the tackles. But this offense starts and ends with Byron Brown. If you watch USF, you know that. Yes, they have players that can make, I just mentioned Nimrod, that can make plays, but Byron Brown is the engine that keeps this thing going. So let's talk about defensive coordinator Tyler Lando. Guy that I'm a fan of. I think they need to be playing a little bit better. 19 points per game is a little high for me. If we're being honest, when we start looking at teams that can make that college football playoff run, but not just as the automatic G5, you're the highest ranked G5 bid. I believe that with South Florida's schedule, I think they have the opportunity to do something really impressive. I think that they can make they may roar the team's ability to make the playoff because their schedule was so tough and they've been handling business and it's been business as usual. They made Boise State look so pedestrian, and Boise State just put hands and feet on UNLV this past week. This is where we at. So he runs a 4-2-5. They love the attack. Front heavy pressure principles. That's where they're at. That's where they're at 100%. They're athletic. They're physical. In the box. 28th nationally against the run. That's pretty daggone good. The secondary is the issue. And Brendan Lewis makes secondaries pay. You play man, you play outstanding defense, I'm taking off. He's just like Byron Brown. Me and Jalen always laugh at the game where we saw Nevada play a year ago. And Brendan Lewis was just amazing, man. Truly amazing. Alrighty. So I didn't realize we was this far into the episode. And, yeah, this is going to be another hour and a half episode. Linebacker Michael Harris, he got 5.5 sacks on the season. Been the tone setter defensively. Jalen Shula leads the team in tackle with 61 tackles. So that's not good. You feel me? In my opinion, they're really good against the run. They're solid against the run. You got to get better against the pass. But some of that is garbage yardage. Because some of these teams, they've been really putting hands and feet on, and then they become pass happy. So some of that is garbage yardage, but still, you have to get better against the pass, to be honest with you. So let's talk about the Memphis side of the thing. Tim Cramsey, run heavy spread with physical RPO layering. Just like we said, it starts and ends with Byron Brown. It starts and ends with Brendan Lewis. And I'm not sure if he'll play this weekend. Coach Silverfield said he's day-to-day. I know if he's 50 or 60%, he'll play, but does that harm them the way that it harmed Moneyline Mateer in Oklahoma when they played the Red River rivalry, where he just started playing a week early? He'd have been fine if he came back to South Carolina game, honestly. But Brendan Lewis, 8 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. What you see is what you get with Brendan Lewis. Really good at running the ball. He is completing 70% of his passes. At times, there's some throws he would like to have back. That's what Brendan Lewis is. Sutton Smith is the power back 480 yards, 6 touchdowns. And then Cortez Bram, 491 yards, 5 TDs on the season. He does provide explosive element for the Tigers offensively. So we talked about the offense. Let's talk about the defense. Everybody is kind of running a 4-2-5 or something similar. It may be a 4-3 look at time to time. It may even look like a 3-3-5 from time to time. But everybody is kind of running a 4-2-5. That ability to have that additional corner in the game. You can stay on your base package most of the game with just your 3 cornerbacks, which you're out, your 2 outsides, your nickel back, your left cornerback, right cornerback, nickel back, and then your safeties, you'll use them in coverage as well if they're good enough to be able to play coverage as well. That's why the 4-2-5 is just hitting college football you even see some 4-2-5 in the NFL too, especially with these big nickel packages. You'll see it as well. So this is definitely one of the AAC's best. I'm sorry, the American Conference. They don't go by AAC anymore. Memphis ranks 25 nationally in scoring defense, allowing 18 points per game, 25th against the run, 106 yards per game, and a +6 turnover margin, which is really good. That's 14th in the FBS. Linebackers, Brumfield and Watts, really good, solid linebacker group. Like what I've seen about them. So let's talk about some of the advanced metrics and that'll help us better understand what we might be getting in this game. Yards per play, 6.8 and 6.5. Astronomical. That is phenomenal. I tell you, it really is. Turnover margin, +7 for USF. That's 10th in the country. +6 for Memphis. That's 14 in the country. You want to look at why teams are winning games. More of attrition on line of scrimmage and winning the turnover battle and possessing the ball. Third down conversion rate. This is outstanding. 46% for Memphis. That's top 30. And USF is somewhere around middle of the pack. But they're not afraid to go for it on 4th downs as well. Memphis is really good at possessing the ball. USF is not. They score fast. Teams, they end up getting large leads, and teams just have to, go to pass heavy. But Memphis is really good at possessing the ball, and that's what they're going to do well at home. We've seen that in the Arkansas game. They take care of business at home. Really outstanding to see. Memphis ranked 7th nationally in red zone offense. They at 96.4% clip. That's outstanding. South Florida, they're really good as well. They're 25th at a 92.3% clip. This is great. You're looking at 2 teams who like to finish drive. Some of the things that we need to watch in this game. Can Memphis control tempo and keep USF defense on the field? I think they will. That's a check for me. Byron Brown's mobility offset the Tigers' defensive front. Another thing to watch, turnover battle. Both teams are elite at taking the ball away. We saw Memphis had Drew Metzemaker confused. Some throws he would like to have back. But winning in all 3 phases of the game, not just offensively, not just defensively. What is your special teams doing to help you get in better field position? That's what we're looking at it as well. South Florida is red hot. And if Brendan Lewis doesn't play, give me South Florida to win this game. If he plays and he's playing, he's about 60% of who he is, give me Memphis. Because it's damn near impossible to go in there and leave with a victory. But if there's a team that can do it, this is a USF team who's been battle-tested, who's playing a lot of really good teams. But so have Memphis played some good teams as well. So give me Memphis to win this game if Brendan Lewis is healthy. If he's not healthy, I have to lean South Florida, even though it's hard to get a victory in Memphis. But Brendan Lewis, if he's day-to-day, he's playing. That's the way I look at it. Week-to-week is one thing. Day-to-day is, we will make sure he's ready to go. Because he going to need to be ready to go if they got any shot of making it to the playoffs. They got to beat this team. Because Navy is trending. And I'm telling you, it's going to be difficult to beat Navy this year. And this American, I was about to say AAC again, this American conference is so elite. So many good teams. We got parity in this conference for sure. I don't know who wins the conference, but give me Memphis in this game if Brendan Lewis is healthy, like a 34-30 type game. The Tigers win their 5th straight matchup. It's going to be an outstanding game. I'm just not sure if Brendan Lewis is playing. If he's playing, give me Memphis to win that game. Let's go ahead and move on to the next game. We got Illinois versus Washington. Really good matchup. Really outstanding matchup with 2 teams who we've seen look really good at times and 2 teams we've seen look really bad at times. So a lot of times in these games, if you've had times you look outstanding and you had times you look bad, your bad will come out. Your ugly side will show. Washington's ugly side showed it in that Michigan game this past weekend. What were they doing? I'm just not sure. So look at this series history. Every time I see this matchup, I always think about the Rose Bowl. always think about the Big Ten winner versus the Pac-12 winner. My mind just instantly goes there. And maybe it's cliche or hyperbole, but I don't know. It's just automatically where my minds go. This will be the 12th meeting all time between these two teams, Illinois and Washington. And the first since 2014, the Huskies hold the 7-4 series lead, including 4 straight wins dating back to 1971. And the last time they played was in Seattle, and Washington put hands and feet on them about a decade ago. But I don't think Illinois was very good at the time. Both teams are 5-2. Both teams still believe they have a shot to win the Big 12 or at least compete in the Big 12 championship, even though Ohio State and Indiana and Oregon probably have other plans. But this game is very important. This game is a must-win game for both of these teams. Jedd Fisch is pretty much in the interview phase right now because I believe there are some teams that want him to come and be their ball coach. And in order for that to happen, he needs to win games and prove that he can win in the Big Ten. Both of these teams are talented. Both of these rosters are talented. I have no doubt in my mind that both of these teams can win a game. But if you study my lineage, you study how I felt about teams in the offseason, some of these games you should already know where I'm going. But I'm still paint the picture like I always do. So let's talk about the head coaches and the overall team post. Illinois 5-2. Illinois under Bielema, I believe, found their identity. It was something that you wanted to happen with Lovie Smith. I'm such a Lovie Smith fan, and things got really bad during Lovie Smith's tenure in Champaign, and I was really upset when they fired him, but they kind of had to. The Houston Texans did the same thing. They didn't have to. They just did the same thing. They just wanted to go in a different direction. I think they knew he was going to be a one-year loan head coach, and they see what's going to be available at another coach's carousel. But I like what this team brings to the table. Luke Altmaier, I'm a huge Luke Altmaier fan. I've even broke down Illinois offense. Barry Lundy Jr. and mostly Luke Altmaier and what his ability to do in that offense. And disappointed in the Ohio State game. Brett Bielema, I'm interested to see how well his team plays. They were idle this past week. So they have an opportunity to go out here and do something. All things aren't lost for Illinois. The Indiana loss will be a stain. The Ohio State loss will be a stain because both of those games you lost badly. But let me tell you this, it helps your strength of schedule with the college football playoff paying, attention to the strength of schedule. Those losses won't mean as much if you're able to win out and handle business. My dog Jalen, the moment I speak about Illinois, you always pop up. What's happening? So both these teams do have an opportunity to really help their season down the stretch. So Luke Altmaier, I love what he brings. I love the balance that he brings to the system. Let's talk about Washington a little bit. Jedd Fisch, they're 5-2 on the season. I don't know how to properly analyze this team because I've seen them win a game against Maryland that they shouldn't have won. I've seen them also, I thought they'd be able to handle business versus Michigan, and then they got BTA'd. So I don't know how to properly evaluate this team. I thought they'd give Ohio State a better fight, but nobody has really given Ohio State a fight this year, right? So thank you for telling me that. I did not know that. Appreciate it. Shouldn't be able to hear the video ever. So thank you for letting me know, bro. But that 24-7 loss to Michigan just really confused me about this team. We always talk about the away team first. Let's talk about Illinois and offensively. Barry Lundy Jr., I love the relationship between Barry Lundy Jr. and Luke Altmaier. Absolutely love it. It's an adaptable pro-style offense emphasizing efficiency and physical line play. They're getting really heavy sets. This is most definitely a 12 personnel type team. That's what you're going to get with Illinois. I appreciate that, Jalen. That's exactly what you're going to get with Illinois. They'll get in these heavy sets, but they're not afraid to pass out of these heavier sets, though. That's what I love about Illinois. And you can check out that if you go to my uploads, if you're watching this on YouTube. I did a breakdown of Luke Altmaier. I'm going to do more breakdowns, especially the closer we get to the NFL draft, now that I have all 22 film. So I'll be definitely doing most of those. But 13 touchdowns, his first interception of the season was against Ohio State. But he's still completing passes at a 72.4% completion rate. This is a guy who may not wow a lot of people now, but when we start to look at the postseason events, like the all-star events for players as they making their pathway to the next level and playing on Sundays, this is a guy, whether it's the East-West Shrine Bowl or the Senior Bowl, he's going to go down and he's going to press a lot of teams, and that'll certainly help him get drafted earlier. This wide receiver core, I'm really disappointed in Hudson Clement. I really thought he was going to be, and Jalen said he already knew he wasn't going to be a fit for this offense, and that's why I trust his input more on Illinois than I trust my input, because I know Jalen's going to always be honest. But I thought Hudson Clement would be able to be like a hand-in-glove fit here. He performed at Morgantown last year where that thing was awful with Neil Brown and company a season ago. But looking at that now, I'm just disappointed. But Hank Betty has been outstanding. He's definitely the go-to target, 617 yards on the season. He's playing outstanding. He's on pace to have over 1,000 yards this year, which is pretty daggone good. Caden Fegan, he provides some balance. I expected more from him because I thought he would pretty much be the feature back this year, but that hasn't quite been the thing. And my phone is going off nonstop. But 338 yards, he got 5 touchdowns on the season. This offense won't overwhelm you, but they have the outstanding ability of lulling you to sleep. Because they do similar sets. They love tight sets. That's something I didn't know about Barry Lundy Jr. He loves tight sets. He really does. You know how most college teams this day and age love to use the width of the field? He loves to use tight sets, play action, misdirection. Now you see me, now you don't. Like, that's what he is. Like, I've seen some great plays. They did like a fake HP toss action. They ran action to the other way. It's pretty impressive what they do. You say Khalil Valentine has been your best running back? Okay. You think why do you guys use a running back by committee, Jalen? That's a question that I have. Why you guys use the running back by committee? Aaron Henry, not the biggest fan. If you think about Champaign, a lot of people aren't Aaron Henry fans. You start to see why, right? It's a multiple front defense. It's built on fundamentals and gap integrity, and a lot of people want to play with outstanding gap integrity and understanding your run fits and all of that good stuff. But, you know, they rank 50th against the run. Secondary has struggled, giving up 240 yards per game through the air. Gabe Yakas is one of the best players in college football. Not offensively, defensively, but the best player in college football. He really is. 4 sacks on the season, and Miles Bailey does, I think, lead their team in tackles with 39. But Illinois ranks 119th nationally in third down defense. 119th nationally in third down defense. You are playing in the Big Ten. That is bad. 119th. They were allowing third down conversions of 45%. That tells me that Aaron Henry and company need to play a little bit more of the success rate game. Like, down and distances matter at this collegiate level because a lot of people, like back in the day, there used to be like a little bit more integrity. We're going forward on fourth down. Like, you didn't go forward on fourth down in your own territory. That was like one of the rules. Like, one of the 10, coaching commandments was you don't go forward on fourth down in your own territory. That's not a thing anymore because some teams feel like if we don't score enough points, we don't have an opportunity to win. So even if it's, it's 3rd and 4, they'll run it, get it down to like a 4th and 2, then they'll go for it. I think that's just where we're at in college football. But Illinois has to be better on third down. That's bad. There's only 136 teams. They're 119th. That's not good at all. Let's talk a bit about Washington and where we at. Jimmy Doherty, their offensive coordinator, is a balanced pro-style attack, emphasizing rhythm, play action, and spacing. My issue with them this year is that we just seen, and I feel like Ohio State kind of let the cat out the bag. We just seen them at times. They were the second highest scorer team in the country before Big Ten play started. They were second nationally in scoring and in yardage before Big Ten play started. Ohio State put the tape out on them. It's what Maryland used. Maryland shut them down for 2.5 quarters. It was just that last quarter and a half, they could not be stopped. They could not be stopped at all. As my phone continues to go off nonstop. They could not. They just couldn't be stopped. We look at this Michigan game. It was the same thing. So an offense that's so contingent and dependent upon rhythm have a lack of rhythm. That's just confusing to me when you look at the guy like Jonah Coleman at running back. When you look at a quarterback like Damon Williams Jr., who's really impressive to me. I'm not going to lie. But it's been up and down. It's been really up and down this season. When you look at a guy like Denzel Boston on the outside, you're just trying to figure out, like, why are they struggling, right? Jonah Coleman has 568 yards on the season, 12 touchdowns. Denzel Boston is a grown man in a college kid's body. Seriously, 515 yards, 6 touchdowns on the year. They're averaging 437 yards per game, which is 32nd nationally. But at times they struggle to score. That just doesn't make sense to me. That's why I continue to say Jekyll and Hyde with them. Ryan Walters runs a multiple 4.25, and historically, Illinois dominates Ryan Walters' coach defenses. That's what scares me about this game. Barry Lundy Jr. always has the upper hand on Ryan Walters defensively, right? But his defense is done pretty well this year. They're 19th nationally against the run, and that bodes well for them because they're playing a really physical team. Can't get pressure, so we don't get sacks, and team always has 3rd and 6 or less. Yeah, that's not good. You guys aren't playing that success rate game. And you can't get pressure, and then everybody's just going to kind of double Yakas, you know. So that's bad. 37 scoring defense. They're allowing 20.3 points per game. The secondary does give up some yardage, but stiffens inside the 20. That's that bend, don't break. Safely McLaughlin got 50 tackles on the season. Javon Lane got 2.5 sacks on the season. Barry Lundy Jr. has always been ahead of Ryan Walters, and I know Ryan Walters knows that. He knows that. When Luke Altmaier and Barry Lundy Jr. are coming to town, they have a lot of success against his defense. Now, he does have more players defensively on his Washington unit than he did when he was with Purdue. But I don't know. Both of these teams are frustrating at times because I think both of these teams have a lot of potential, but they're really frustrating to watch, especially for me because I had Illinois in my college football playoff this year. And it's really frustrating to watch. So let's get into some advanced metrics. Washington averages 6.4 yards per play. Illinois average 6 yards per play. Illinois is winning a turnover margin. They're +5. Washington is +4. Third down conversion rate. Washington's offense, this is a strength versus a weakness, and we saw this in an earlier game. Washington offense on third down, they're at 52.5%. Illinois allows it 45% of the time, which is 119th nationally. So this is a strength versus a weakness. This is something that I'm paying attention to 100% of the time when I'm watching this game. Red zone efficiency. Washington offense, 89%. That's 38th in the country. Illinois defense, 91.7% allowed. That's 113th in the country. These are categories you cannot be bad in. This is a 5-2 team, but they have some categories they are really bad in, and this is frustrating to see. Illinois commits 38.9 penalty yards per game. That's 17th nationally. That's just an identity of who their coach is. They're going to play with a great deal of discipline. That's why when I look at teams, I say who your coach is. Is your coach a disciplinarian? I prefer a disciplinarian over a player's coach. That's why a guy like Billy Napier struggled because of the lack of discipline. I used that analogy earlier. You're not throwing 5 interceptions with a Brett Bielema or a coach Jeff Brom at Louisville. You're going to get chewed out. Miller almost threw an interception and he got chewed out. Those are just examples I use. So that 38.9 penalty yards per game is outstanding. 17th nationally is great. So can Illinois get pass rush on this Washington offense? If they can, they definitely have an opportunity to win this game, even as bad as they are on third down. One thing I do like is Altmaier and Barry Lundy Jr. versus Ryan Walters. It's just success. It's just success. Can Aaron Henry get stops? Can their defense get stops when they need to get stops? Can they get pressure when they need to get pressure? So while some of these numbers and metrics tell you that Washington should win this game, how successful they are in the red zone, how successful they are in third downs, how much yardage that Illinois allows on third downs, and the conversion that they allow on third downs, the numbers tell you that Washington should win this game. But knowing what Luke Altmaier has been able to produce against Ryan Walters historically, give me Illinois to win this game. I think we get an All-American shootout here. I don't think this game will be like what we've seen Washington struggling to put up points. This game's going to be an All-American shootout. Give me Illinois 35, Washington 31. I got Illinois winning that game. Let's get into a game I'm super excited about. Not that I wasn't excited about this one. I'm super excited about the next one. SMU versus Wake Forest. I watch SMU a lot because my dog Mike, that's his favorite team. Director Mike of CFB Nation, his favorite team is SMU, so I end up watching a lot of their games, and of course I like Baylor a lot, so I watch their games. Wake Forest is a really scary team. I know Jalen, who's in the chat now, he had an opportunity to talk to Damon Claiborne Jr. at ACC Media Days. They were able to have a great conversation. All of the players talked about their head coach Dickert, and if you're juiceless, you're useless, and how he'll have them screaming at 6 in the morning. And you can see the program buying into it. I don't think I'm more happier for anybody in college football than I am for Robbie Ashford, because he would just go to teams, have promises of being able to compete for the starting job. Lost it in Columbia to Lenore Sellers a year ago. Lost it to Peyton Thorne in Auburn a few years ago, and I think it might have been back-to-back years he lost it there, or he lost it one year and went to South Carolina. I'm just happy he's getting an opportunity to start now. And I know he was hurt their last game. Were they idle last week? I can't remember if they were idle this past week, but outstanding game between these two teams. So let's talk about where both of these teams are right now. And it's nearly been half a century since these two teams played, but Mustangs lead this all-time series 3-0, and their last win was coming in 1975, where they won 14-7 in Winston-Salem. So let's talk about the coaches in the team polls. We got Rhett Lashley, 5-2. I thought that they would have a sophomore slump. And early in the year, I was like, yeah, it's definitely coming. But they're trending in the right direction. They're playing really well. The tape is out. They went undefeated in the ACC last year. Did not have that on my 2024 college football bingo card, that they will be undefeated in conference play a year ago. And, of course, they lost to Clemson in the ACC championship. But in the regular season, they weren't undefeated against the ACC. And they played really fast. I think they run the best RPO system in the country. They have the best RPO quarterback in the country. I will fight anybody on that. Kevin Jennings is an outstanding RPO quarterback. Does have a lot of interceptions. It is frustrating. I know it, but I think he's the best RPO quarterback in the country. They're top 25 nationally in passing. And we seen what they were able to do. They put up points in bunches versus Clemson last week. I know Cade Klubnik didn't play. Your defense was there. You guys are supposed to have, top guys on your defensive line, and in your secondary, your defense was there, but clearly not. And they were scoring points in bunches. They had a couple of big plays last week too in that game. Jake Dickert, huge fan of Jake Dickert, because at these media days, the biggest thing I think we get to find out is, do the players sound like the coaches? Are they buying into what they're saying? And every last person that we talked to from Wake Forest, they bought in. They're buying into what Jake Dickert is bringing. And they're 4-2, but in my opinion, they should be 5-1 because they were absolutely robbed in that Georgia Tech game. Love what they're doing. I thought Dave Clawson did an outstanding job during his tenure in Winston-Salem, and I hated to see him to go. But sometimes change is good. I think sometimes change is good and change is needed. And change was definitely needed in Winston-Salem. And they just put hands and feet on Oregon State. And Robbie Ashford, their starting quarterback, didn't even play. And I know Oregon State has been struggling this year, but 39-14 and your starting quarterback didn't play is pretty impressive. So let's talk about SMU. They do have offensive coordinators, Rob Likens, in case he was, but this is Rhett Lashley's system. Up-tempo spread, RPO, leveraging speed and spacing. That's what you're going to get. And don't nobody run an RPO better. I don't think that there's a better RPO system. I don't think anybody run it better than Kevin Jennings. That's why he was able to beat out Preston Stone for the starting quarterback. But look who's trending in the Big Ten right now. Northwestern, who's I believe they're 5-2. Preston Stone is lighting it up out there. And it's beautiful to see. So I was rooting for Preston Stone. I felt terrible for him. I thought he was misused by Rhett Lashley in the end. Rhett Lashley was right. I was incorrect. But damn, Preston Stone is looking good in Northwestern. Let's get back to this. And I'm sure SMU fans, the type of people they are, I'm sure they're extremely happy for Preston Stone, by the way. 1,900 yards for Kevin Jennings, 17 touchdowns, completing 68% of his passes. That's something that everybody wanted to see get up for Kevin Jennings after seeing him in a year and a half of play. Hey, let's get that completion percentage up, and let's get those interceptions down. And he's spraying the ball. Everybody eats. Everybody eats, and they're not afraid to take shots. Romello Brinson, 502 yards, 3 touchdowns in the season. Jordan Hudson, Gibson, one of the most dynamic duos at running back. TJ Harden has been efficient as well with 431 yards and 5 scores. Offense averages 31 points per game. I'm sure Rhett Lashley wants that point to go up, but they can catch fire in a heartbeat. 100%. I like a lot of that. Alrighty. Their defense, Scott Simons is a defense coordinator. Blitz heavy, multiple defense built on confusion and turnover creation, mug fronts, simulated pressures. That's what you're going to get out of this defense. They're trying to turn the ball over because guess what? They know their offense can score. So if they give up a big play, it's okay because we're going to go get a big play offensively. So they're really aggressive, which you don't see a lot in college football. Extremely aggressive. But 17th nationally against the run, 97 yards per game, 316 yards per game. Passing, what does that mean? They're dead last in passing defense. So I know Robbie Ashford, Damon Claiborne, who gets active as a pass catcher, they're ready. They're ready for this game. Edge rusher Cam Robertson, he has 5 sacks on the season. I ain't gonna even try to pronounce that last name. Got 53 tackles on the season. The Mustangs' aggressive approach pays off from time to time. +5 in turnover margin. That's 20th in the FBS, but dead last in passing. Defense is bad. 4th nationally in red zone defense, but dead last in passing is bad, especially when you got a team that can run the rock the way Wake Forest can run the rock. Alrighty, let's talk about Wake Forest. Offense coordinator Robbie Sell, power spread offense, blending tempo with a downhill run concept. Really love Robbie Ashford in this. And like I said, I'm not too happy for players. Nico, I'm super happy for too. Things going right for him at UCLA recently. Robbie Ashford, the success he's having there. He got 1,172 yards, 2 touchdowns, 4 interceptions on the season. We need to see that flipped. We really do. But Robbie Ashford is extremely dangerous running the rock. Damon Claiborne, outstanding, 539 yards, 8 touchdowns. He don't have a lot of carries. I think he's done that in like 6 carries. 67 carries. Let's say 6 carries. That's crazy. 67 carries. And that's somewhere around 8 yards per carry. And when he's rolling, they're tough to beat. Now, here's the thing. He's small in stature. He's like a Devon Achane, like in stature. And I don't know if they have him on a pitch count, but there's games I'm like, yo, give him the ball. like don't overthink this. Like, let's simplify it. Hand him the ball and let him go to work. And that's what they did versus Georgia Tech, but Georgia Tech found a way to come back. Chris Barnes is their go-to guy, wide receiver, 410 yards, 2 touchdowns, a legitimate deep threat. And the Deacons average 409 total yards per game. That's 53rd nationally. Middle of the pack, but when it's your first season as a head coach, and Jake Dicker, that's not bad at all. So Scotty Hazelton is their defense coordinator, 4.25, built pressure and create turnovers. That's what a lot of people play, but I think they're a little bit more disciplined defensively than SMU is. 32 nationally in total defense, not bad at all. 33 in scoring defense, 20 points per game, not bad at all. Luther Hardy, 5.5 sacks on the year, and then Anderson got 50 tackles for them. Wake Forest is 132nd in the FBS in penalties, averaging 76 yards per game. That's crazy to me. That is crazy. There's a couple bad stats there. So let's get into some advanced metrics. Yards per play, Wake Forest 6.1, SMU 6.3. I think every team we discussed today was at 6 point something, right? Turnover margin, SMU +5, Wake Forest +1. Third down conversion, SMU's offense 43%, Wake Forest 37% allowed. Red zone battle, SMU defense 4th nationally at 66%, and then Wake Forest offense is at 76.2. They struggle in the red area, and that's not good. Both teams are in the bottom 15 time of possession. SMU 131, Wake Forest 116. Both of these teams like to go fast, so that's typically what you get. Some of the things to watch in this game: can Wake defense handle Lashley's speed and space? Because this offense is going to bring it. Kevin Jennings is electric. Claiborne versus SMU front 7. I think this game, go inverted. Instead of running the pass and run. I think that'll be the key for Wake Forest this game. Penalties and field position. Wake Forest can't afford the free yards, and Kevin Jennings is just elite. He really is. Who will win this game? I want Wake Forest to win this game so bad. But that red zone rate bothers me. It bothers me 100%. And we know that SMU can score points in bunches. They really can. And will Wake Forest have Claiborne on a pitch counter? Will they give him the ball? That's really what matters to me. I want to say Wake Forest so bad. Give me SMU to win this game. Kevin Jennings just makes a few more plays than Robbie Ashford. I don't even know if Robbie Ashford is 100% healthy. Should have looked at that injury report prior to. But Kevin Jennings and Romello Brinson are going to connect quite a few times. So, yeah, Mustangs move to 6-2, and they're right there in the thick of things in the ACC. So let's get to our last and final game. Let's talk about this Mammoth SC game. I'm excited to talk about this game for some reason, even though one team has looked really good and one team hasn't looked good. But I'm super excited to talk about it, so let's get to it. All right, so this is footage from we were at the Aflac Kickoff Challenge. I was telling you guys about that. The beautiful thing is that they send you, like when you're part of the media, they'll send you B-roll that you're able to use. And I always like to play a game with this footage, see if you can find me in the background. I'm there. You should be able to find me at some point. I love to play this game whenever I'm using this footage. I was struggling to actually find myself yesterday, so I'm kind of looking for it now. Let's go ahead and get into this breakdown of this game. So I think we have a game in which this is a must-win for South Carolina. This is a must-win game for South Carolina. South Carolina cannot afford to lose this game at all. And when you have your students, your illustrious students of the University of South Carolina protesting, Houston, we have a problem. And I think we've really gotten to a point that, am I dropping frames? Don't look like it. I think we've really gotten to a point where Shula has to go, man. your students just added. So we are dropping frames. All right. So just in case things start going bad, let me start recording. Just in case. I got to upload this. All right. So, this y'all still bugging? Yeah, it is bugging. I don't know why it's bugging. It shouldn't be bugging. All right, so let's talk about head coaches and team polls. We got Kalen DeBoer, 6-1 right now. They are red hot. 6 straight victories. I heard somebody say this a few days ago that this team is starting to really look like a Nick Saban coach team, even though it's coached by Kalen DeBoer. He's definitely tidied up some things. That's verbiage and vernacular we've used before. Love what they do defensively. Ty Simpson, if I had a Heisman vote right now, it's going to Ty Simpson 100%. No doubt in my mind about that. Shane Beamer is struggling. 3-4 through 7 games. They've already lost more games this year than they lost last year. Well, if you include the bowl loss to Illinois, it's the same. But they were 9-3 to finish the regular season a season ago. Offensively, that's bad. God awful. They're near the bottom of the FBS and total yardage. That is awful. You just cannot do that. You can't do that at all. And it's not something you expect when you have the talent that you have offensively. It's just truly not something you expect. And it's bad. I don't know why we are dropping so badly. Film should not be dropped at all. But anyway, let me hurry up, get this, and then we can get out of here. It's clearing up. It's hard to see because I'm looking at my preview screen. It's hard to see. Anyway, let's get to it. So, yeah, I started struggling offensively. We gonna think about it. And I'm not sure how they fix it. Oklahoma just handled business versus them this past week. Like, it was bad. It was real bad. So, yeah, I should turn this right on YouTube. Give me a second, y'all. Let me see how it looking like. Sometimes what's the name screen be lying. And I'm thinking I'm dropping it. I'm not. Yeah, it's not. This one's bugging. My bad, y'all. All right, so let's get more into this about this game. But my computer is bugging, though. That's for sure. All right, so let's talk about Alabama offensively. Ryan Grubb. I mean, him and Kellen DeBoer, do they miss? And don't we see this offense looking like Washington's offense back in 2023? 3 wide receivers, 1 star. Everybody else kind of plays the role. I mean, this offense is just outstanding. Spread offense prioritizing efficiency, play action, and RPO balance. This offense is just truly a machine. It really is. Ty Simpson's arm talent, his ability to make plays off script and in the pocket is outstanding. Lights out, 1,900 yards on the season, 18 touchdowns, 1 interception. Spring MVP of the spring, right? That's something that CFB Nation said a lot. Completing over 70% of his passes. And Ryan Williams, before the season started, got all the hype. Jeremy Bernard, if I'm a defensive guy, I'm worried about. Just this kid is just electric. 472 yards, 5 scores. Jamarion Miller, Jam Miller, doing an outstanding job running the ball as well. I think they're 12th nationally in passing, 297 yards per game, third in scoring, at 35 points per game. And Grubb's system just works. Like, struggled at times in the Pacific Northwest with Seattle, the NFL team. But, back at the college level, his systems just work. They just work 100%. So let's look at this defense. We know this is that 4-2-5 swarm that Kane Womack runs, and he'll be another name mentioned up there when we start looking at the hierarchy of the coaches carousel. He'll be another name up there because his defense is really outstanding. They're ranked 10th in national pass defense at 155 yards per game, 22nd in scoring, allowing 17 points per game. Jahad Campbell's real deal, and Pierre got 4 sacks on the season. And the turnover dominance, bro, +9 margin. That's 4th in the FBS. The ability to force turnovers defensively is what's outstanding about Alabama. Alrighty, my computer's having problems. I just need to get a new computer. All right, so let's talk about South Carolina. We talked about the away team a little bit. Mike Shula, they're struggling. Scheme is a pro-style attack, built around establishing and running quarterback efficiency, and they're struggling. It's bad. It's so bad. Like, a lot of people expect this to be like a Heisman campaign for the North Sellers. We were hearing a lot of hyperbole that, he's going to have a Cam Newton-esque year this year. And it's got to be the opposite. 1,100 yards, just 1,100 yards passing, 5 touchdowns, 65% completion rate. This offense can't do a thing. Lack of consistency. And they have talent. Not sure what's going on. They have so much talent on that offense, and it's just not working. They average 297 total yards per game. That's 129th nationally. And this is why they are having a protest on campus for firing offensive coordinator Mike Shula. Shane Beamer, you need to do it or you're going to get fired. You need to do it or you're going to get fired. And you may get fired before he even gets an opportunity to get fired. I understand loyalty, brother. But you may have to do it. This is a what have you done for me lately sport. Yeah, you were just a game outside of the playoff last year. And if you didn't get robbed at the LSU game, you probably feel like you should have been in the playoff. But at the end of the day, this is a what have you done for me lately sport. And what have you done for me lately has been very disappointing. I told everybody after I seen you guys play versus Virginia Tech, I left the feeling unimpressed. I said the same thing about LSU. after seeing them win against Clemson, unimpressed. And same thing about Auburn. Even after they won against Baylor, unimpressed. I was right. I mean, it is what it is. Faison got 281 yards on the ground. And then Jacobs got 343 yards in the air. I would like to see Nick Harbor do more. I would like to see Bennett do more in this offense. But, yeah, your coordinator has to go. Defensively, Clayton White, it's an attack style 4-5 defense built on quarterback pressure. They are 41st nationally in total defense. We know White is going to have this defense ready. They just play defense. 33rd in scoring, 20 points per game. Bam Thomas Jr. got 4 sacks on the season. Smith got 38 tackles on the season. And the only thing that's killing them defensively is their third down percentage. They're allowing 45% of conversions. That's a terrible stat, and they're tied top 20th in that stat. Let's look at some of the advanced metrics and the key metrics of this game. We got yards per play. The average, every team that we mentioned today is 6.0, 6.1, 6.2. South Carolina is 4.6. This ain't the NFL, buddy. Why are you averaging 4.6 yards per play? Turnover margin. South Carolina's +1. Alabama's +9. That's 4th in the country. South Carolina's 61st in the country. Third down conversion rate. 49.5% for Alabama. 44% allowed for South Carolina's defense. That's 116. And 94 offensively for Alabama. Everything is pointing in Alabama's direction. Red zone efficiency. Defensively, Alabama is 3rd in the country. South Carolina is 129th in the country, which is surprising. Time of possession. South Carolina, this is where they're losing a lot of games. 27 minutes. It's bad. Alabama's almost at that 34 mark. That I think is a magic mark in college football. Does Mike Shula all of a sudden get a renaissance with Lenore Sellers, and they're clicking on all cylinders? Because if there's a team that can beat Alabama, there's somebody with a dual threat quarterback, as we've seen what Florida State was able to do. But this is not the same team we seen on August 30th. Make no mistake about it. This is not the same team that we saw at 3:30 p.m. They left us feeling ill about Alabama around 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's the same thing. Right, because Lenore Sellers had one in the game. He just put this team on his back, and it's a must-win game for South Carolina. If South Carolina loses this game, I fear major changes are coming, and I don't want that to happen. Alabama secondary versus South Carolina's limit pass and attack. Shane Beamer and Mike Shula, situational play calling. Can South Carolina find a way to win this game on special teams? Give me Alabama. This one gets ugly. 34-13. I like Alabama in this game. Why? Just because South Carolina hasn't showed the ability to move the ball at all. They just haven't, and it's embarrassing, to be honest with you. Right? Great show today. I love when we get to that hour and a half mark for a show. That means we really did our work. We previewed all of these games. It's been outstanding, man. As I always like to say, there are no more victories in the sport that survive for the fans as well.